As Prince Louis grew older, he began to notice the subtle but undeniable tension that surrounded him. The idyllic world he once saw in the royal family was now tinged with a complex web of relationships, secrets, and unspoken emotions. He wasn't entirely sure why, but something about the atmosphere in the palace felt different now. There were whispers between his parents, glances exchanged at royal events, and the uncomfortable silences that seemed to hang in the air when certain names were mentioned. The name Camilla was one that he heard often, though not always in a positive context. Louis, being a perceptive child, had an innate ability to sense when something was amiss, even if the adults around him tried to keep their emotions in check. He noticed that his father, King Charles, was often preoccupied, looking stressed or weary after certain meetings. His mother, Kate, though always composed in public, had a certain sadness in her eyes that Louis hadn't noticed before. It was as if there was a barrier between her and his stepmother, Camilla, something that hadn't existed when he was younger. At family gatherings, Louis watched how his older siblings, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, interacted with Camilla. While George was more diplomatic, Charlotte's expressions often conveyed a mix of discomfort and suspicion when in Camilla's presence. Louis couldn't fully understand why, but he began to feel that the family's dynamic was more fragile than he had ever realized. He didn't know all the details of the past, but he started to piece things together from overheard conversations and the subtle undercurrents that ran through the household. He began to ask questions, mostly to his parents and occasionally to trusted family members, about the history that had shaped these complex feelings. Louis learned that Camilla was not always seen as a beloved figure within the family. He found out that her marriage to his father was controversial, given the role she had played in the breakdown of King Charles' previous marriage to Princess Diana. For Louis, this was a turning point. He realized that the tension he had sensed wasn't just about petty squabbles or misunderstandings, it was rooted in something much deeper, something that had been brewing for decades. As he grew older, Louis also began to understand the significance of the press in this tangled situation. He learned that the media, which had always followed his family's every move, was not merely an observer but an active participant in shaping the public's perception of the royal family. He became aware of how Camilla had used the press to craft her own image, portraying herself as a charitable, well-meaning queen consort, while simultaneously making sure that negative stories about others in the family were planted in the tabloids. It became clear to Louis that the manipulation of public opinion was a powerful tool for anyone within the monarchy seeking to secure their place. This growing awareness led Louis to feel a mixture of confusion and anger. He was still young, but the realization that his family was not the fairy tale it once seemed to be left him grappling with his emotions. He started to see his stepmother not just as a family member but as a symbol of the fractured past that seemed to define so much of his life. And with each passing day, Louis felt the weight of the royal family's complicated history bearing down on him, forcing him to confront the uncomfortable truths that had been hidden beneath the surface for so long. As Prince Louis matured, his curiosity grew, leading him to explore the world beyond his royal duties and the curated image the palace sought to project. One of the first things he discovered was the role the media played in shaping public perception, particularly regarding his stepmother, Camilla. He began to see patterns in the coverage of the royal family that struck him as more than coincidental. It was clear that the media portrayal of Camilla was meticulously crafted, almost too polished for the harsh reality of her past. Louis stumbled upon a collection of old articles and headlines, many of which focused on Camilla's personal life and her public relationship with King Charles. What stood out to him were the subtle contrasts in how the press covered her, especially when compared to other members of the royal family. While Diana, Charles' first wife, had been relentlessly vilified by the tabloids, Camilla seemed to receive an almost protective shield from the media. Louis came to realize that this wasn't by accident. Camilla, with her complex history, had worked tirelessly behind the scenes to cultivate a public image that portrayed her as a dedicated wife and compassionate figure. Through various means, she had developed relationships with key figures in the media, ensuring that her image remained largely unscathed, even when the rest of the royal family faced intense scrutiny. Camilla's strategy involved selective leaks and strategically placed stories that emphasized her charity work and her quiet role in supporting Charles. These efforts not only helped bolster her position within the royal family but also shaped public opinion, particularly after the death of Princess Diana. Louis also uncovered the darker side of this media manipulation. He found reports of negative stories about his father being suppressed or reframed, while any negative press about Camilla's past, particularly her role in the breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage, was downplayed or entirely erased. Tabloid articles that might have exposed her alleged affair with Charles during his marriage to Diana were either buried or rewritten to focus on her supposed transformation into a dutiful consort. The more Louis dug, the clearer it became that Camilla had used the media not just for personal gain, but to reshape the narrative surrounding the monarchy itself. By controlling the flow of information, she not only preserved her own reputation but also strategically distanced herself from the scandalous history that had once threatened to undermine her position within the royal family. It was a masterful campaign of media manipulation that had not gone unnoticed by the public. Yet few had truly understood the depth of her involvement. For Louis, it was a sobering realization his family, and the very institution of the monarchy, were influenced not just by tradition and duty, but by the carefully controlled image that Camilla had worked tirelessly to construct. The leaked stories surrounding Queen Camilla have left a lasting impact on the royal family, amplifying tensions and shaping public perception in ways that continue to reverberate through the monarchy. Over the years, rumors have surfaced about how the British press and certain members of the royal household collaborated to leak sensitive information, often aimed at improving Camilla's image or damaging the reputations of others. Camilla's relationship with the media has been a carefully managed affair. In the early years of her marriage to King Charles, the media largely viewed her as the woman who had played a central role in the collapse of Charles's marriage to Princess Diana. For many, she was the other woman, a title that clung to her despite the years that had passed since the couple's affair became public. In an attempt to rewrite this narrative, Camilla worked closely with media figures to promote her charitable endeavors and present herself as a compassionate, well-meaning royal. However, these efforts often went beyond simple image management. Reports from royal insiders have suggested that Camilla and her team used strategic leaks to shift the public narrative in her favor. Stories that painted her in a positive light were frequently planted in the press, while stories that portrayed other members of the royal family negatively, especially Prince Harry and Prince William, seemed to emerge at opportune moments. This tactic became known as tabloid diplomacy, where the exchange of information with journalists helped shape public opinion and maintain a favorable image of Camilla, particularly in comparison to the more controversial aspects of her past. The leaks also served to distance Camilla from some of the more unpleasant aspects of royal life. For example, when Camilla's role in Charles and Diana's troubled marriage was brought into question, certain stories were released to deflect attention from the past and highlight her charitable work, which had garnered public praise. Similarly, during moments of family conflict, especially involving Harry and William, negative stories about the princes often made their way into the tabloids, further fueling the rift between the younger royals and their stepmother. These media tactics did not come without consequences. The leaked stories not only deepened the divide between Camilla and her stepsons, but also contributed to the public's growing cynicism about the royal family's ability to maintain a facade of unity. Many saw the leaks as evidence of a deeper power struggle within the monarchy, one in which Camilla appeared willing to manipulate the media to secure her position and control the royal narrative. Moreover, the leaks hurt Camilla's relationship with the British public. While she had gained some acceptance due to her charity work and her role as a stabilizing force within the monarchy, the constant drip of negative stories about the younger princes, coupled with the lingering doubts about her own past, made it difficult for Camilla to fully shake off the perception of being a divisive figure. This media manipulation, though effective in the short term, created an atmosphere of distrust and suspicion, making it harder for the royal family to project a united front to the public. Ultimately, the leaked stories about Camilla underscore the complex and often uncomfortable dynamics within the royal family. While some may argue that Camilla's actions were justified by the need to rehabilitate her image, others view them as a deliberate attempt to rewrite history at the expense of her stepsons. Regardless of the intentions behind the leaks, the lasting impact on the royal family is undeniable. The story of the leaked information is not just about Camilla's media strategy, it is a reflection of the broader struggle for power, influence, and control within the British monarchy. As tensions within the royal family have grown, Prince Louis, the youngest son of Prince William and Catherine, has increasingly found himself at the center of a narrative that challenges the long-standing dynamics between the younger generation of royals and Queen Camilla. While the focus has often been on Prince Harry and Prince William's strained relationship with Camilla, Prince Louis's growing awareness of the family's complexities and his place within them has added another layer of intrigue to the royal saga. For years, Prince Louis, like his older siblings, had largely been shielded from the public eye, his youth providing him with some distance from the controversies that surrounded his family. However, As the royal family dealt with the fallout from Harry's memoir, Spare, and the ongoing media scrutiny surrounding Queen Camilla's role in royal affairs, Louis began to develop his own views on the situation, one that seemed to parallel the concerns voiced by his father and uncle. Louis's confrontation with Camilla was not a singular event, but rather a culmination of years of underlying tension. The younger royals, particularly William, had long been critical of Camilla's rise within the monarchy, believing that her past actions had harmed the family. As Louis grew older, he became more aware of the broader issues at play, including his mother's efforts to reconcile with the media and the portrayal of his family in the press. Though still a child in many respects, Louis's intuitive grasp of the power dynamics within the royal family meant that he was not blind to the complexities of his step-grandmother's influence. The incident that brought Louis's frustrations with Camilla to the forefront was a symbolic one, reflecting the growing resentment within the family towards her manipulation of royal narratives. During a public appearance, Louis was seen to express his discomfort and unease when in close proximity to Camilla, avoiding her touch and looking visibly tense. While this may have been a momentary reaction, it highlighted the broader emotional divide between Camilla and the younger generation, particularly Louis, who was increasingly aware of the media manipulations that had been a hallmark of her strategy to secure her position as queen consort. The confrontation was also a symbolic moment in the broader story of the royal family's relationship with the press. For years, Camilla had been working tirelessly to reshape her image, to move beyond her controversial past, and to secure her role as the future queen. However, the revelations about her dealings with the media, the strategic leaks, and her apparent disregard for the well-being of her stepchildren became a point of contention. Louis's behavior was seen as a reflection of the younger royals' mounting frustration with Camilla's efforts to manipulate public perception. This public display of tension between Louis and Camilla also underscored the generational divide within the family. While Camilla's relationship with Charles had flourished over time, the younger generation who had grown up in the shadow of their parents' tumultuous marriages had never fully embraced her role within the royal fold. Louis, as the youngest, had not experienced the early days of Camilla's marriage to Charles, but he had grown up amidst the fallout from their union. His discomfort with Camilla was not just a reflection of personal feelings, but also an expression of the emotional legacy left by the events of the past. In the months that followed, there were increasing reports that Louis had become more vocal about his concerns, whether in private family conversations or in his reactions to public engagements. Royal insiders suggested that, while he had yet to fully understand the complexities of royal duties and obligations, Louis was increasingly aware of the fractured relationships that had defined the royal family's more recent history. His discomfort with Camilla represented a broader dissatisfaction with the way the royal family had handled its public image, the manipulation of the press, and the role of the media in shaping personal narratives. Louis's confrontation with Camilla thus became more than just a family squabble. It was emblematic of the deep-rooted divisions within the monarchy. His actions represented a silent but powerful challenge to the status quo, one that questioned the legitimacy of the media-driven narratives that had sought to portray Camilla as a unifying figure within the royal family. For Louis, the battle was not just about his personal relationship with his step-grandmother, but also about asserting his place in a family that was deeply affected by the decisions made by those in power. In the end, the confrontation was a subtle but powerful moment in the ongoing saga of the British royal family. It highlighted the enduring impact of past actions and the emotional toll that decades of media manipulation, public perception, and family discord had taken on the younger generation. As Prince Louis continues to grow, his views on Camilla and the royal family's dynamics will likely evolve, but the confrontation remains a telling moment in the ongoing narrative of the British monarchy. In the wake of Prince Louis's growing unease and his confrontational moments with Queen Camilla, the response from the royal family was measured but telling. The monarchy, known for its commitment to preserving its image of unity and harmony, was faced with an emerging rift that threatened to escalate beyond private family matters. The incident with Louis was seen as a flashpoint, highlighting not just generational tensions, but also the deep divides caused by past decisions within the family, especially regarding the controversial relationship between Camilla and King Charles. Initially, the royal family, particularly Prince William and Catherine, responded with diplomatic restraint. They carefully avoided making public statements that could further inflame the situation. Both had long maintained a delicate balance between supporting their father's reign and defending their family's interests, particularly with regard to the media's portrayal of Queen Camilla. The royal couple's strategy was to ensure that their children, especially Louis, were insulated from the full weight of royal controversies. They focused on the emotional well-being of their children, emphasizing stability and normalcy, while not publicly commenting on the growing discontent within the family. Queen Camilla, for her part, remained relatively silent in the immediate aftermath of the incident. Her team, including her press advisors, worked quickly to ensure that no damaging leaks about the situation made their way into the media. Publicly, she continued to project an image of calm, composed professionalism, attending royal duties with an air of steadfastness. However, insiders reported that behind closed doors, the queen consort was reportedly shaken by Louis's behavior. She had spent years working to shape her public image and to be accepted by the younger generation of royals, particularly her stepchildren. Louis's actions made it clear that her efforts to gain their approval had not been as successful as she had hoped. King Charles, too, played a delicate balancing act in response to the tensions. As a father, he likely felt torn between supporting his wife and protecting his children. Sources close to the royal family indicated that he had privately expressed concern over Louis's actions, but he had refrained from taking any public steps that could further destabilize the monarchy. Charles's response was in keeping with his long-standing approach to family matters, seeking private resolutions over public confrontation. He focused on maintaining the public image of a united family, even as the underlying tensions became harder to ignore. In the days that followed, the royal family opted for a strategy of silence, hoping the matter would dissipate over time. The younger generation, including Prince Louis, was given space to navigate their emotions away from the prying eyes of the media. Prince William and Kate took their children on a quiet holiday, away from the spotlight, to ensure that they could regroup and focus on family matters without further media intrusion. The family's public events during this period were carefully staged to present an image of unity, with the emphasis placed on their shared responsibilities rather than internal conflicts. Yet, despite the royal family's attempts to project an image of calm, rumors and whispers continued to swirl in the press. There were unconfirmed reports that Prince William had become increasingly frustrated with his father's unwillingness to directly address the underlying tensions with Camilla. Sources close to William suggested that he viewed his father's hesitation as a sign of weakness, and that the growing rift between the younger and older generations of royals would have long-term implications for the monarchy's future. At the same time, the British public, accustomed to the monarchy's somewhat enigmatic response to scandals, seemed to view the situation with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Some expressed sympathy for Louis, seeing his discomfort with Camilla as an understandable reaction to the complex family dynamics, while others criticized the royal family for not doing more to address the underlying issues that had caused the rift. The royal family's handling of the incident also had wider implications for their relationship with the media. As tensions within the family came to light, there was increased scrutiny of the royal family's media strategies. The leaks and public revelations about the personal struggles within the family added fuel to the fire of growing public discontent with the monarchy's level of transparency. Royal watchers speculated that, despite their best efforts to control the narrative, the royal family would find it increasingly difficult to shield themselves from public criticism as new details emerged. As the months passed, the royal family's response to the situation became more cautious. The focus shifted back to public duties, with King Charles and Queen Camilla attending various royal engagements while downplaying the internal tensions. Prince William and Catherine, meanwhile, continued to project an image of unity and support, even as the issues with Camilla remained unresolved. In the broader context of the royal family's long-term strategy, this incident with Prince Louis highlighted the generational challenges facing the monarchy. It was clear that the younger generation, while still committed to their royal roles, was becoming more vocal about their frustrations with the older generation's handling of the monarchy's image. The tensions between Prince Louis and Camilla were not just a personal matter but a reflection of a much larger shift in how the royal family was perceived and how it operated in the modern media age. In the end, the royal family's response was a calculated mixture of silence, diplomacy, and carefully curated public appearances. However, it was clear that the underlying tensions were far from resolved, and the family's ability to present a united front would be tested as new revelations and challenges emerged in the years to come. Camilla's relationship with Prince Louis has been widely regarded as strained, with underlying tensions that have been slowly simmering beneath the surface for years. As the stepmother of Louis and his siblings, Camilla's efforts to bond with them were always a delicate task. Unlike her stepchildren, Prince William, Prince Harry, and Princess Eugenie, who had more time to adjust to her presence, Louis was still very young when Camilla became a fixture in their lives. His limited understanding of the complexities surrounding their family dynamic only added layers of confusion and frustration. Although Camilla, now queen consort, worked hard to craft a public persona that appeared warm and maternal, there have always been subtle signs that her relationship with Louis was not as harmonious. As one of the younger royals, Louis's bluntness and unfiltered expressions of emotion starkly contrasted with Camilla's carefully constructed public image. He was often seen as more vocal and independent, especially when his family's privacy was breached or when his discomfort with certain royal functions became evident. Sources within the royal circle have suggested that Camilla, while dedicated to her royal duties, sometimes struggled to connect with the younger generation, especially with Louis, who, unlike his siblings, seemed less inclined to embrace her as a mother figure. Their strained relationship became more apparent as Louis grew older, as he was increasingly aware of the complex history surrounding Camilla and her role within the royal family. It is believed that this awareness added to his hesitation in forging a closer bond with her. Despite her efforts to engage with him, Louise's reluctance to fully accept her as a motherly figure underscored the ongoing challenges Camilla faced in navigating her relationship with the younger royals.